What's poppin', everybody? This is the cartoon kid Ray Rollins, and today I'm joined by Alex Payne. And we are going to be reviewing the first, I guess you could say, movie of the Futurama franchise, but it's in season 5. It's labeled as season 5. So you know what? It's season 5, episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bender's Big Score. And per usual, man, y'all know how this whole thing goes if y'all been watching the videos. We got to give y'all that episode breakdown before we start breaking it down. And since we got Alex Payne here, we got to do it like we used to do it the old OG way. Alex, give us the episode breakdown, man.
Well, this is a long ass movie, so I'm just gonna hit it with the most simple way possible. Because to go by beat would just take forever. So I'm just gonna put it as the crew go on a delivery to the new planet, and they all were dumb enough to give out their emails, and then scammers basically stole the company and then scammed the entire planet and took over Earth. So Bender and everyone else has to figure out how to get the planet back. And that is your episode breakdown.
And we can't forget to mention the other, I guess you could say, plot that also ties into the story. Leela falls in love with this. I forgot the dude's name. He's not that important, but he kind of is.
Lars.
Lars. She falls in love with a homie named Lars, and Fry, of course, being the good little kid of a character he is, man. He gets a little jelly, get a little jelly over the whole entire situation. So we got that little subpar. Well, the plot was kind of subpar, if I'm being honest. But we have that little subplot in the movie as well. So first impressions, man, I gotta say, and this is kind of getting into review territory, but I'm gonna hit you with this. This movie was very predictable, and I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. But in the same token, this movie was fantastic because it simply focuses, or not focuses, but it really relies on the characters. If you want to go in and enjoy this movie, I'm not going to say that you have to have been watching any past Futurama episodes. If you're a new fan who just started watching the series, you can jump into this movie and really enjoy it because it gives you a brief but also kind of detailed overview of who the characters are, how they work, how their quirks are, and the characters obviously are what make Futurama, and they're what made this movie. So overall, the movie is all right, in my opinion. Very predictable, but it was very enjoyable at the same time. What are your first impressions?
Well, my first impressions are for watching it again because I watched this movie quite a few times, but it's been a few years since I've seen it. So my first impression on watching it again was I feel like the first half felt like them coming back from being canceled. Like it felt kind
Yeah,
of I don't want to say like there were moments, especially like during the montages and stuff where it felt a little, I guess, off, if that makes any sense. Maybe
hmm,
forced is the right word. Not in a super bad way, but it just felt a little awkward sometimes.
right.
Like when
Okay,
they just
I can buy that.
like when they just went to regular, story calm and everything like that. Like when they was on the beach and Fry was looking for the dude to deliver the stuff to and everything. It felt back to normal, but like when they was doing the montages and all that other stuff, it just felt kind of like they were trying, like they weren't used to being back. I guess if that makes any sense.
Right. They were trying too hard. Just that's it didn't feel Futurama esque
Yeah,
if I get what you're saying. Okay. And I could kind of agree with that. But
but they got
to
into the
me,
flow of it as the story went on. I
right,
mean, I feel
right.
like they still had the occasional moment, but they got into the flow of it, and it ended up being back to, I would say, somewhat normal. Because listen, movies always feel different than the shows,
Oh, no
because
doubt, no doubt.
they try really hard to. I don't know if it's them trying hard to make them feel different, or if they just end up feeling different because they try hard to make the show or whatever it is based off of like more epic.
Hmm.
But other than the just normal feeling different because it's a movie, I feel like you could tell the rust was coming off in this one.
Right. Yeah, And I do agree with that 100%. But see, and here's the thing. With me actually getting into Futurama really recently, when did we put out our first review of Futurama? It was late 2019, wasn't it? I think so.
That
Yeah.
sounds about right.
Yeah, the summer of 2019, and that was my first time actually seeing Futurama. My brother's been telling me to watch it for forever, and then he's been telling me to watch it ever since we started talking. And I gave it, a shot, and I really liked it. I enjoyed the first episode. So I'm not familiar with, their 9,000 cancellations, but it is what it is, man. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I've been watching a lot of Futurama every morning on Comedy Central, man. I get up, not get up, but if it's like 6 in the morning, I'm up. I'll probably toss the TV on a Comedy Central or something, and Futurama is typically on. And I got a good grasp of the entire series. But it's kind of like I said, getting into moments. This movie relied heavily on its characters, and that's what made the movie so enjoyable. The characters and their quirks. And I have to say, since they were coming back from cancellation, they made a little joke about it, and I really do love the little scene at the beginning where
Yeah.
they kind of played, they kind of like showed off the little I guess you can call it company that canceled them or whatever, and it said box, but if you're paying really close attention, the B in box was kind of blurring out a little bit, and it said
Yeah.
box, which obviously was the company that canceled them in the first place. And I gotta say, that shit was hilarious to me. Like, there are some wise asses, okay, and I do give them like 100% respect for that. They just shit it all over Fox, which they should, because Lord knows if they still had Futurama and it kept going on to today, it would have been like The Simpsons and The Family Guy, total garbage. And I'm not saying that Simpsons and Family Guy are garbage, but man, listen,
They're
every show is
garbage
bound.
now.
They are. Yeah, they definitely are. But even then, Simpsons do have some good, enjoyable episodes from time to time. But that one little skit right there, I enjoyed very much. I just love that. I'm like, oh, you guys are some wise asses. I love you guys, man. And I remember in a future episode, I don't know if it was a future episode or well, it had to be because they were canceled before, obviously. Leela had made a joke about, something's really great when it gets canceled twice. So they just joke about the situation. I think it's very enjoyable, man. You gotta love a smart ass artist or a smart ass writer. It's pretty dope. Um, Also, another cool thing that I like that they did, with the visual, is that when they threw Hermes in an ambulance and the ambulance was driving away, you could see a little bubble on the ambulance, and it kind of goes up to the sky and it cuts into the opening. I thought that was pretty dope. I'm like, oh wow, that's a pretty
Yeah.
cool visual. And I also have to say, I really love the song that they had for the movie. I don't know what type of instrument that was in the background. Kind of sounded like a flute, maybe. But I was like, oh, I could get with this. I like this. They should have kept this for the actual Futurama opening. It's pretty dope. But
Yeah.
what are some of your
What did you
favorite
think of
moments of?
the?
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna ask, what do you think of the song at the end when they was doing the battle? I thought the actual, like, when they was making the toy song was pretty enjoyable, but I felt like I guess since you said, I think the end battle, like when they were all, like when all the spaceships were battling, I thought that scene was pretty cool. I usually don't like stuff like that, but I felt like the music and the visuals and everything, and like especially because they used that same music that they used in the opening. I thought I
That was pretty
personally feel
damn
like it was
dope.
very, yeah. I thought it
You,
was really epic.
with me being an anime fan, I've came across several scenes in different type of shows where battle gets fucking intense. It's like the do or die battle, and they play the opening score of the anime, the song of the anime. And it's like, oh shit, it's gonna go down, boy. They playing that theme song. Oh, it's gonna go down. So that's kind of how I felt in this little scene right here. I thought it was perfect. Me personally though, I don't like the whole I don't like musical. I don't want to say score because that's not the right word. I don't like the little thing where they just break in a song automatically throughout cartoons. I don't know the word for it. It's getting away from me for now. But I like the first song that they did when Bender. I can't remember if he came if that was after he killed Fry, but they were basically talking. They're talking about misery and shit. And Leela's like, "Oh man, I love Lars so much." Basically, I like that first song that they did. I like that first little
Hmm.
show tune. I think that's what it's called, show tune. Um, I like that one, and I didn't care for the one when they were, getting ready for the battle and making the toys and whatnot. But that battle scene I did like. So,
I
like I
will
said,
say though,
I'm not a huge fan of
with
the. Go ahead.
with the preparation song though, I will say I feel like regardless of what you think of the song overall, I feel like that was the best inclusion of a rap moment in most cartoons I've ever heard. Because usually it ends up sounding corny or sounding weird or
Oh
sounding
yeah.
unnatural and forced. But that one actually sounded like they brought in, like when the Kwanzaa bot started rapping, like it actually sounded like they brought in a rapper who could actually, rap and stuff. And it wasn't just corny ass, basic rhymes or none of that other stuff. Like it actually sounded good. The flow was on point and everything. So I feel like if nothing else, I gotta respect that song just for the quality of the rap included, because usually it's not that great.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely agree because I came across a whole bunch of situations, cartoons, anime, even regular shows where characters start rapping. It's like, oh, I get so cringed out. I'm like, why the fuck am I watching this shit? Where the remote? I need to change the channel on this shit, boy. So it's just, I get exactly what you mean. But let's get into character talk for a little bit, man. I gotta say, I love the whole idea of Fry having the whole immaturity complex and still being a kid, even though he's a the Peter Pan complex, if you will. I guess you could call it that. Peter Pan complex. If you can't, I'm going to
Yeah.
call it that anyway because I'm a rule breaker. So Fry is a kid at heart. And I just love how it's really played up throughout this movie because it's even played up during the actual show, too. But this movie
And
really shines a light on it.
you could even look at it as a counterpoint too, like because remember, the plot twist is that Lars is Fry, so
Yeah.
you could look at
Yeah.
it as two sides of Fry going throughout the whole story: the immature side and the mature side.
Yep, absolutely. To get back into one of the moments that I actually do love throughout this movie. I don't know why. It's just I love the simple shit. When he's showing the macaroni picture to Amy, and
Yeah.
it's like, man, dude, you're not in second grade. You're probably like 20 something, probably even older. What the hell are you still doing macaroni pictures, bro? Like, but that's just the Peter Pan complex in Fry, man. I'll never forget. I think it was I forget which episode it was in season. Oh, it was the one where he has to go live with Bender, and where he actually moves out of the office. But this dude straight shows up to their conference with nothing but straight up draws, eating a bowl of cereal, and it's just like, dude, are you kidding me? You're a freaking grown man, man. You can at least eat a freaking, I don't know, sausage McMuffin. That's like the general kid thing, man. You're especially walking around in your drawers eating cereal. Like we all done that as we were little. Shit, I probably do it now at some points. But it's just hilarious to me, man, how they do that. And I like it. I like it because Fry is a kid at heart. When you see Fry, you don't think of, oh, this is a mature dude. Um, he's a kid at heart. And if you're making cartoons to appeal to a younger demographic, whether it's young kids, teenagers, or even young adults, because shit, we're in our young 20s and we still watch cartoons. I know I do. I love cartoons. I don't give a fuck. I'll still be watching them when I'm 50. But these are made to appeal to a younger demographic. And what's the best way to do that? Create a main character to whom they really relate to. And that's what Fry is. He's a relatable character to most, of the younger demographic, which like I said, big ups to them for that. And especially like really showcasing and shining a spotlight on it in this movie. I do have to give them points for that. Another thing that I want to point out is the predictability factor of this movie. Bender, man, come on. Why are you guys gonna make? I mean, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be easy to kind of turn the robot against him. We can corrupt him with a virus. But I knew firsthand Bender wasn't going, and I kind of give them points for this because they really did slip me up. As soon as they started talking about how the time travel worked, I was like, okay, so I can see how they're going to use this as an out to give the movie a happy ending. I thought Bender was going to, take Farnsworth's device, and he did switch it, but I like how they made it seem like he did it for his own personal game rather than, saving the world type of thing and helping Farnsworth and them get the company back and all that. So they kind of did do a little switcheroo on me, But come on, we all couldn't predict the ending as it was happening. So I kind of do like how they made Bender be the, I guess you could say, this is probably not the best word choice, but they made Bender be a good little submissive robot. You know, they made him work to their the pink aliens' will. Man, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. Did you, when you were watching this, did you look at them and you think, this kind of looked like a Majin Buu thing? You know, pink little flabby aliens, naked and shit. That's the first thing I thought when I saw them, because like I said, this is my first time seeing the movie. I'm like, yo, these things look like Majin Buu, kind of. You know,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't
it's
say
the same.
kind of. Go ahead.
It's the same franchise, so I mean, of course I think this, but looking at them, I just couldn't help but think of Zoidberg out of his shell. That's what was coming to my mind because they're not the same. They're not like the same dark shade of pink that Martian Boo is.
Majin Buu's not a dark shade of pink.
Well,
He's
I
kind of
mean,
like a bright. He's
well,
not. He's kind of like a bright shade of pink. That's what really got me.
well,
And Zoidberg even
what I
hopped
mean
out of
by
his
dark,
shell too. So
what
that
I
was
mean by
pretty cool.
dark is by dark in comparison to them because they're like that bright ass, super, super, super. I ain't seen the sun in years, pink,
Right.
and Martian Boo is like a normal pink, whereas they are that fucking pale ass pink. That's why I
Right.
said darker. In comparison to them, I meant. But I will say this to go back to the characters though, and this is more so, I guess, the um content of the movie. I thought because listen, Futurama. One thing about Futurama is they're good at mixing comedy with
Yes.
emotion, and
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like the whole plot line with the narwhal and how Fry
Oh
became
man.
Lars, like that whole section, and you gotta love the little nod to how the dog became petrified when the shop exploded and shit, but. Um, that whole section was just really, really, really well done and fantastic, if you ask me personally. Like the emotion was on point and everything.
Oh yeah. And like I said, the movie was predictable, and I gotta say, I was like, man, I can predict the ending of this kind of. And then they hit us with that Lars scene. I was like, oh shit, you know what? Okay, I gotta give y'all a round of applause on that because I kind of didn't see that coming. But I will say this: soon as Lars came into the picture at the beginning of the movie, I was like, yo, there's something like very similar to. It's the voice. The voice, that's what kind of tipped me off. I'm like,
No,
yo,
yeah.
that kind of sounds like Fry in a sense. Like if you pay attention, you can tell that they use the same voice actor that they use for Fry for Lars, which I think was pretty genius on their part because obviously they wrote the shit. They know what's gonna happen. But if you're a person who's like really pays attention to shit like that, like me and you are, you're like, oh man, yo, that's Fry's voice, yo. And I didn't predict that was gonna happen. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't predict that was gonna happen. They had this dude go into the shop and the shop blows up and he's like, my hair is gone. I'm like, okay, I see what y'all doing. You okay? You guys get
My
some points for
hair,
that one.
my larynx, I'm Lars. But just
Oh my
everything
lord.
about that whole, but just like I said, though, everything about that whole plot line, like even him waiting for the narwhal, his belief that only he's the only one who could make the animal, and Fry's, counterpoint to they believe they're the only ones who can make the person they love happy and shit, and I don't know, man, just the whole that whole plot line was really well done emotionally, especially
Oh
in
yeah.
comparison to all the other really. Because, like I said, with a lot of shows, you either get really good comedy and bad emotions, or bad comedy and really good emotions. And Futurama has always been good at doing both of those things flawlessly. And like you said, in this movie, there was a lot of really hilarious moments, and there was a lot of emotional moments.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I do have to say this too because I really thought this when it was going on. During the wedding scene when Fry was gonna when he was like, "Man, they can't sign a wedding license with a pen without ink. My ultimate plan will will work." And I like how Hermes actually tries to get his wife back, right? From good old Barbados. You
Yeah.
got to mention Barbados too, man. I'm gonna talk about him in a minute. But Hermes, that's basically where he ends up dying or not dying, but his body ends up getting super messed up during the wedding, and his woman ends up leaving him again, and
The boy needs a daddy.
and she's so cold with it too because it is just like for no reason she leaves this man at the beginning of the movie, and Hermes is still alive technically. He just has no body, but she's like, nope, nope. I'm gonna go with your arch rival, Mr. Barbados Slim, and she doesn't do it once. She does it twice in the movie, twice. Like, come on, man. This man took a super L at the beginning of the movie. Okay, then he takes another L on top of that. He gets his body. Zoidberg gives him his body back, but he ends up fucking attaching it
Putting his head
backwards.
on backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Listen,
thought you were really happy. Your tail is wagging.
your tail is wagging. So you know what that means. Hermes is slanging. But I gotta mention too. I love the little scene where Zoidberg is just running out of there, woo, and then Hermes like, motherfucker, I'm finna get you, boy. That scene was awesome. But to get back to the wedding though, Hermes ends up losing his body. His wife ends up leaving him again, and um, Lars is like, man, I can't marry you, man. We can't do this when another person has faced misfortune or whatever, right? And Leela's like, oh no, I can, and that just made me think right there. The main moral of this movie, or one moral, or one theme rather, of this movie, is that women can be some real bitches. That's facts. That is facts. That's the one thing that this movie portrayed well. That women can be some bitches. And I mean, obviously, I'm joking. Okay, I'm joking. Don't crucify me, people of the comments. Okay, only crucify me for getting mad that you clicked on this video thinking it was going to be the actual movie and not a review, which you'll do anyway. But
Don't worry. Don't worry. Those ones are not still listening.
oh yeah, yeah, I believe it. But yeah, that's one thing that this movie did well. And I did feel mad. I did feel bad for Hermes because he just took L after L after L. But he redeemed himself at the end, which was really awesome. So I love seeing the underdog get the W at the end, man. I love that shit. And even Fry, in a sense. Fry got a little kiss from Leela. That's what's up, man. You kind of got a little W yourself. Do you have anything else to say about your favorite moments before we jump right into the final review?
No, I think we covered. Well, at least I think I covered all the good moments without going into like the nooks and crannies of saying everything that I thought was funny. I think I covered the big moments really well.
Okay, yeah. See, I agree because if we want to say everything that we enjoyed about this movie, or at least me, I will be here all day because all the jokes and shit in this movie, or at least a good majority of them, were hilarious. And there's some stuff obviously that I'm forgetting, but to get into the final review, me personally, like I said, this movie was predictable, but it was enjoyable, man. You also have to give the writers a little bit of credit because they've been off for 2 years, right? They got canceled in 2005 or 6, and they came back in 2008. So you got to think they are a little rusty, as you said. And you can kind of give them a little credit for the little montage scene where, like you said, that rust was clearly visible for you, um, average, or not average, but a longtime Futurama fan. For me, I didn't notice it because, like I said, I'm just getting into Futurama, and I obviously didn't see that 2 year gap. So I will have to give them credit for recapturing the likeness of each and every character. Like Bender was Bender, the master thief. Fry was, Peter Pan in a sense. You got that Peter Pan personality. And listen, I love the macaroni drawing to death. Leela, you know what? This is what I didn't mention. And I have to mention really quickly. I like how Leela is truly one of the badass females, or at least on the list of all-time badass females in cartoons. Like Leela's always whooping some ass, and she don't hesitate. And she also has a heart, man. So she's not just one of those. I wouldn't say a mean bitch who likes to whoop ass. She has a nice, genuine heart. But I like how at the beginning where she was like, "Oh man, you guys can't boss us around," and she was gonna go and start whooping the pink alien's ass, and Bender stopped her in her tracks, which was kind of fucked up. I like how Bender laughed at that shit too. He was like, he. Like, damn, Bender, you asshole. But overall, they recaptured each character's likeness very well for this movie. And like I said numerous times throughout the review, this movie wouldn't be as good as it was without the 90 million jokes throughout it. The small jokes, the jokes that centered specifically around the characters and their quirks. And this movie, as I said, and I'll say it one more time, really, really is what it is because of the characters, their personalities, and their quirks. And they did a very good job recapturing that. You can say what you want about the plot and its predictability, but that alone gives me, a good feeling. It really makes me appreciate this movie for what it really was. And if you're a person just coming into the series, you can really just step into this movie, watch it, and enjoy it because you don't need to really know any of the backstory of Futurama. You can just put this movie on and enjoy it for what it is. And with that all being said, I'm going to have to hit it with, I'm going to say an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it. Like I said, the plot was predictable, but I just enjoy it for the characters. And I will give them a little extra point or half a point for that little Lars spin at the end. So I would probably give it a 7.5 on the normal day, but today, you know what? I'm feeling a little generous. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. What do you think?
I agree with basically everything you said. So I'm gonna just keep it simple and say that this is one of my because if I remember correctly, there's four interconnected movies, either three or four. I can't remember the precise number. And I would say this is probably my second favorite of those movies.
Oh, second favorite. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been a while since I watched all of them, so who knows? We'll see as time goes on, because I'm assuming we'll eventually review all of them, man. But the I give this movie an 8 because, like I said, the emotion was on point and the comedy was fantastic. So I really enjoy this movie. I don't usually like movies based
Me
around
either.
shows, but I feel like this one felt like it worked, and they usually don't. So I have to give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. All right. Well, there you guys go. This has been the Cartoon Kid Ray Rollins and Alex Payne, and this has been our review for Futurama Season 5, Episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, Bender's Big Score. And y'all know what to do, man. Tell me what you think of this episode. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me if you hate it. I said episode. Tell me what you think of this movie. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you hate it. Tell me what you would rate it. Leave all your opinions down in the comments box below. I am the Cartoon Kid Ray Rollins, and I will see y'all when I see y'all. Thanks for watching, and peace out, everybody.